What's going on YouTube? It's Calcioscope. I'm back with another video, and today's video is really important for designers, painters, whatever you may be. Just understanding the color wheel is so important and a really good concept to understand to bring your designing to the next level. Now I'm just going to be going over the color wheel and probably just save demos for another video. I'll show like a quick demo, but if you guys want me to continue this series of lighting, let me know in colors, because this can really bring your designing to the next level. But just let me know. And so I'm just going to go over a couple key concepts that I feel are really important for you guys to understand. Now right here we have our color wheel, right? And all of these colors are in their hue form, right? And what hue really means, we have this layer right here that's hue and saturation. What hue really means is colors at their most saturated, right? So hue equals pure color. And if you were to look on your color picker right here, you go to the top right color, all of these colors are in hue, their purest form. If you were to drag this down to more black, that's less hue to the left, and to the left from the top right is less hue again, just with white tint. So white tint this way, black tint that way. Okay, now something that is really important and I want to just bring to you guys first is the concept of contrasting colors. Now what contrasting colors are is a color on the direct opposite of the wheel. So if you go directly diagonal from here, or directly across from there, or directly across from here, these are contrasting colors. Now why contrasting colors are important is because creating just a really drastic difference that just is still pleasing to the viewer's eye. Contrasting colors create that really drastic difference that's still pleasing to the eye, and that's what you see a lot of times when you see movies. They'll have like yellowish scene and then like purple highlights, or let's like bluish scene with orange highlights. It just makes that cool looking contrast to a scene. And you can look at many things in sports, such as like the Patriots, they have some contrasting colors. Or if you actually, let's go to the Vikings first, because I don't want to get you guys confused. I have something to talk about that. Let's go. So I have this picture of the Vikings player, and if you were to look at the color wheel, you would see purple is literally directly opposite to yellow, and that's why the Vikings jerseys make such a nice contrasted colors, and it just looks so clean because of the contrasting color. Okay guys, so the next term is split complementary. Now split complementary is going to the colors that are opposite, but looking at the colors that are directly next to the opposite colors, right? So from going from this blue to this orange shade, these sit opposite, but this is going to the next shade here, or the next shade down there, the next shade up, or the next shade down, right? So that's what split complementary is. And why split complementary is important is because it can give you a nice difference. So we want a difference on here, so we go from blue to orange, but maybe we don't want it to be as harsh on the eyes, so we're gonna go to that yellowish tone there, or that next orange tone that's not gonna be as harsh on the eyes, but the viewer's still gonna see a nice contrast of colors, right? So that's what split complementary is and why it is important. And the next thing is triadic color. So I'm just gonna make a quick triangle on this color wheel. Just think about this triangle being equal. I mean, I know I really butchered that, but just think about the triangle being an equilateral triangle, and what the triangle is signifying is balance for this term in the way that I'm going to explain it. So triadic is choosing colors that are equally spaced and make harmony, because like they're not drastically different, but they're different enough that make nice harmony with the viewer's eye. So just think about like just splitting up the graph in a nice like equal pattern, right? So just think about splitting it up in a nice equal pattern. So I'm not gonna try to make it too complex here, but just think about that, making it split into equal pattern. I'm not even gonna go with red, but just think about like if you were to choose this purple right here, then you would maybe choose this orange or if you're gonna choose this blue, then maybe you would choose like a green or a red shade that's equally spread apart. So just think about like 1, 2, 3, 1. Oh wait, 1, 2, 3. Just think about like 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3. Now you can always like finesse this and just think about your own ways to split up colors equally, because there's many shades that you're going to see. Like there's so many shades, right? But just thinking about splitting it up into equal patterns is really important, and that's why it's important to just have a color wheel around you when you're designing, so you can just really think about it and pick really good points that you want to make contrast, but just this is even more harmonious because it's just like really equal and just nice to the eye. So what I'm gonna do is go on some of these pictures right here of NFL teams, and you guys are gonna see either it's a mix between the split complementary colors or triadic. So if you look at the New England Patriots, this is more triadic because it's like the blue to the red, right? This darker blue to the red, so that's more triadic. You're gonna see triadic a lot in sports, right? So you're gonna see it a lot in sports. We're not gonna go on that one yet. Keenan Allen, you have this really nice like blue tone to the yellow. This just looks like crazy and sick on the eye. So this is where you're gonna get these triadic tones again, because you're going from like this blue, you could say, around here to this yellow, equal distance around this wheel right here that we have, right? Equal distance. So that's what triadic colors are, and split complementary is also very good. And like we said, just gonna have nice variances between the colors. Okay, so now let's go on to analogous colors. And analogous colors are colors that sit right next to each other. So it's like this shade of blue to this shade of purple to more of a pink, this yellow to orange, whatever it may be. They're right next to each other, right? They're like brothers, whatever you want to call them, sisters, doesn't matter. They're right next to each other. And what this can do is it's a very subtle change that's just like a gradient to the eye. If you think of a gradient map in Photoshop, so I'm gonna just press G. If you think of a gradient map in Photoshop, and I'm just gonna make a white layer real quick. Think of a gradient map in Photoshop. I'm gonna go to red, then I'm gonna actually just use my hue. Whoops. All right, let me start that again. I'm gonna go to the orange on the top, and on the bottom I'm gonna use red. All right, and now I'm gonna choose a gradient. So with my gradient tool, it's like this. See how subtle this change is? But it's just super nice to the eye, right? You can barely tell that there's a big change there, but it's just really nice to the eye. Like if you're gonna do like this to this, like that's just like, what are you doing, man? That's not very subtle to the eye. So you got to stick in those subtleties that just look super clean together. You can barely even tell the difference. And what I did is I have this close-up of Derrick Henry to show you guys this. So if you were to just use your color picker on here, you guys see the difference right here. It's just like subtle, this blue tone to the next blue tone. It's very subtle. And I'm just gonna demonstrate that. Right, so use our color picker. See how like subtle and just clean that is. Super clean, super subtle, to give a nice color to the viewer's eye. And that's really all I'm gonna talk about on this video. If you guys want to know about tints are just going from the hue in its pure form to more of a white or more of a black. So you can always play around with this in Photoshop, and just remember that this is the color, but you're just adjusting it and adding a tint to either way, right? I also want to say real quick that the left side of the color wheel would be your cool colors, while the right side would be your warm colors. And the difference between cool and warm is just kind of energy and emotion. You're gonna see more cool colors and like more dramatic pieces, than warm colors in like action scenes or just bright sunny days. So yeah, that's what I just want to say about cool and warm colors. Think about that when you're doing your compositions. So that's just really important to think about as well. Okay guys, this is going to be the last segment of the video. If you guys are really confused on this segment of the video, do not worry, and just let me know in the comment section below if you want me to continue these videos, because I will definitely break down why that I choose the decisions that I've made. So you guys remember that we said that triadic colors are really good for lighting, and that's what we did here. We used a red source light on his blue jersey, which is mainly blue, but I'm going to break it down. This is the original photo, but I'm just going to break it down like really simple and really quick for you guys, so don't get too confused. All right, and so the first thing that I did was I chose a color to make the scene darker on multiply. Now multiply blending mode allows you to pick a color and obviously make something darker. So what I did is put a color fill on, but what you want to do when you're on multiply, you can't go to too dark of a color because it's going to just make it way too dark, and it's hard to see on here, but it's easier to see on here. So when you're using multiply color, you actually kind of want to use a lighter color, because multiply already is going to make it way darker than it is, because it's just reading a lot of things on the subject. So when you pick multiply color, start out with a light color, then go darker from there. Okay, so then what I did was I added my bright red on for the first layer, and I used a hue and saturation layer, turn my saturation all the way up and lightness up, and then I just painted on rim lights. And you guys see just how that contrast of color just looks so cool and so neat, especially when you're doing your lighting right. Like I said, we will continue to do this, just let me know. Then I added my second red on, and then for my darkening, I used some exposure. You could go back to multiply again and stay in this hue. See how I'm in the blue hue? Stay in this hue. You don't have to try to go to purple and then bring your brightness down. That's not how you're gonna do it. That's gonna look bad. It's not going to look the same as if you stay within your blue hue, because I stayed in the blue hue and I just made it darker from there, right? So that's what you want to do. You don't want to just start doing a whole bunch of crazy things that don't look good. Stay in the hue. Stay on this column, but just adjust from here. That's what's really important to do. All right, so then I went to my second red. Now my exposure, I just added another source light, which is really cool there. And this was my red light that goes behind him. Just added a red light and levels. Just added levels because I think levels usually looks pretty cool. But yeah, I like levels, so I just use it. And then these were just visor glows. All I did was make a selection of his mask. Like I went around like this, made a selection, and then filled it in with a color to make that visor. And then I just added a gradient map, and if you see, that's just a gradient. See, just a gradient map. All right, so that's what I did there. And then I just added light on top on linear dodge, and I added a little bit of hue to that too. When you add a light on top, you can stay within, you're already in your hue, so just don't move this around and you'll be fine. If you just move these around in the lightness, you'll be fine. Just don't start mixing around with this, trying to make it match colors, because that's not how we match colors, like I said. So that is how you're going to get some lighting done. And the color wheel, understanding the color wheel is going to really help you. This is just the first of a series. I mean, there can be so many videos on this because it's really just an in-depth conversation to have, and you can just experiment and do a lot of great things. So I hope this video helped you guys out, and I want you guys to try this out and let me know what other videos you want to see, if this helped you, what you're confused on for the future that I can just try to start helping you guys out with. With that being said, it's been Council Scope. Stay scoped, guys, and I'm out. Thank you guys. Peace.